Thank you all for coming. This my talk is about, it's a very general overview of if we need to decouple or we better prefer monolithic Drupal. It was put into front-end session. It has nothing to do with the front-end. Like, I won't show you any single line of code, and it's like very general, I would say, business or meta considerations, and just philosophical overview. Just a bit about myself. That's me, and I'm doing Drupal for more than 15 years, though most of the time I kind of doing development. I'm not taking myself much as a developer. I don't think I have like a developer's mindset. Well, sometimes I enjoy writing code, but for me, like understanding what's behind is kind of more important. And I stepped into project management. Let's call it like this, like communication, whatever, like clarifications of what we need to achieve. Everything that we need to reach the goal to get things delivered. Yes, and this, as I said, this is a very general overview, and I do not pretend to, obviously no one pretends to have like a ultimate truth, but if I talk nonsense, or if I say, if you don't agree, or if there may be something that do not exactly match technical details, and my purpose is not to impose something, but to ignite some discussion and bring up some considerations, and I definitely prefer discussion over monologue. So yes, let's start, because the start goes back to 10 years back, when these buzzwords first appeared. Like buzzwords, I mean React, Next.js, reactive frontend, GraphQL, whatever, decoupled, headless, and since then I was trying to understand, when I was trying to ask why we should use GraphQL, what advantage does it give? People started explaining how we should use put this model, make this schema, whatever. But there was not really. I didn't feel personally myself, I didn't get the advantage of using this all these buzzwords implemented in technically implemented. And I will start with citations from Dries, from his one and the same post, which are actually contradictory, because he says with the proper preparation, decoupled teams can improve the velocity of a project, so that's good. But building a decoupled application or site, that will result in a crippling loss of critical functionality, skyrocketing costs, or build missing features, very bad. And so this to me is, who am I to criticize Dries? Don't get me wrong. But still, I see there is some misunderstanding. So there was not clear, goals were not clearly set. So to me, this was a sort of let's do what others do. Let's introduce some modern stuff to do modern. So yes. What could be the say, developers' point of view. Because at a certain point, saying we are like making Drupal, making PHP application over SQL database was kind of even obscene. Like you won't be like allowed into proper society. So you should, like everyone was talking about modern stack, which means like reactive front end. We are using the same language on the backend and front end. It means like backend Node.js, front end in React and NoSQL database and reactive apps. But yeah, I mean, what the purpose of making a reactive app of like static website when you have a number of documents which you need to, where's the reactivity there? Okay, SPA, like a single page application, what the purpose of like scrolling when you first had it on different URLs and navigating from one document to another. Okay, now we have like scrolling it on the same page. Not great sense, but from developer standpoint, it's like an exercise. Developers always want to like explore new, write new code, and myself, like sometimes I'm wearing a hat of a developer, and I'm trying to like use some new technology, explore, like type more, like get more tools in my stack, say, and that's understandable. But it's kind of, it doesn't bring any business business advantage. So when from business standpoint, it's not justified. So yes, there are like if we refer to this blog post, there were a number of points justifying the use of decoupled stack. And one of it is, and there again, they're not coherent, in my opinion, because first, like let's use progressive decoupling. But progressive decoupling, it means that well, it's quite different from like full decouple in many ways. Drupal has like makes an impression of old system and old and ugly, because like every random person who doesn't make Drupal development thinks Drupal is ugly. And that's not justified, because Drupal has very flexible theming layer, but the way it is like the way it looks like bare is really ugly, and other like this is like the prejudices that people like general development community had about Drupal. So it it runs on like outdated stack, PHP, SQL, jQuery. And it is still like to build something on Drupal is takes time, and it's expensive, and it is overcomplicated. Everyone acknowledges this. That and as such, it's not a mainstream technology, and it's complicated. So, what is the reason to learn like Drupal, say theming or whatever, to dive into the technology for a developer? Well, there's like modern stack, which is more straightforward, simpler, and more widely applied. So this, to me, the reason of this introducing this decouple hype in Drupal was to bring this to somehow bring this in coherence with, say, modern trends. So we, as everyone, we are using we use Next.js, we use React, we use like modern stack. But kind of problem is that there's always architecture. Architecture means that there is problems that the system is intended to solve, and it is reflected in the tools and architecture. So how Drupal is built and what is it good for? It is like it was built for this old classical stack, SQL, well, I'm not saying PHP, but the structured, content heavy, and really good, well structured systems. So a lot of content well structured. That's it. And this is it's not suitable for for NoSQL, for React. It's different different problems solved with different technological stack. And yes, so what this decoupled approach was intended to bring, advantages that it could bring. That in theory, we may have a front end, front end becomes independent of the backend, so we have a pool of front end developers which can develop with their favorite track, being totally Drupal agnostic, and they can develop without say binds to how backend is developed. So independent, fast, great pool of developers, great. But in fact, wait. Things humans are humans. Humans are always humans, and how things are is a bit different from how they are intended to be. So when you have two teams working on the same project, they need to be synchronized, and that's a challenge to basically to project management. They cannot be independent. So when in theory front end and back end are developed independently, in practice every change in every feature needs to be developed twice. It needs to be synchronized. Changes in the back end break front end. Front end does not see what back end develops. Back end does not see what front end develops, because, well, again, in theory there should be a common development environment, and it's not that hard to build a Docker Compose or whatever. But in fact, what I see, it's quite often that it is not done, and developers, front end, relies on some test instance, whatever, which is outdated, which, well, whatever. There is no common development environment, it's a bit of theory, because developing, when I have the coupled system, that means you, on the back end, you develop an API. And exposing an API is much more, say, restrictive or dangerous than building a website, because you expose this to the whole world. Basically, you don't have an influence on how whoever communicates with this API, and they may developers are much more dangerous. They may ask for updates, try to pull everything, well, in theory, every second, or they may build some queries to pull a lot of data which they don't need, but which really create useless load on your server. So you need to protect API from this like abuse. Well, I'm not saying that every when you start building a headless application, you need to have this on test. But this may happen. These are standards like standard concerns when you expose an API. So that's this is more requiring. So what else? Again, if we go back to this like JS post, the implementation of headless architecture may bring crippling loss of functionality. And basically, yes, they all like a lot of like features which make Drupal needs to be rebuilt on the front end. Like in first place, Drupal is one of the strong points of Drupal is its caching, like caching the tag-based caching, and you don't have it when you build front end. Basically, you will need to rebuild caching like from scratch or rely on different mechanisms or whatever. You have inline editing, so like from the front end, like monolithic Drupal, you can go like to the back end and don't need to search into the admin API. It's again one of the strong points of Drupal. Previews during editing. All again a structured system of managing representation from backend, view modes, formatters, which makes Drupal basically. You lose it. Well, authentication as well. Like it's of course kind of technically it's not a problem, but it needs to be rebuilt on the front end. The same for route management, more or less. Search, interface translation, and whatever. And one of the again strong points on Drupal that is extensible. Like we have thousands of modules, but they work in monolithic Drupal. But they like by default they will not work in headless setup. So headless setup cares about what it cares about Drupal core and what all the rest needs to be kind of re-implemented. So really, there should be like strong reasons to, from say, business standpoint, to go for Decouple. Like, what are possible advantages? Really, front-end developers stay with their tools, but they don't need to learn Tweak. But well, is it that complex for like front-end developer to learn Tweak? They're like, I don't think so. What can be really an argument? But again, it needs to be weighted. That once you have some fancy front-end stuff, library, whatever, widget, most likely it is in React. And if you want to use something like baked, you will not like that easily do it when you don't have React in the front end. Well, to me, what would be an advantage? The independent development of components, but it is like in Drupal starter kits, it's still not there. Like a storybook integration, storybook-like things. components, front-end components, are developed independently with some test configurations. So what are the standard backend architectures? Let's say, because it's like REST, JSON IP, and GraphQL, but they're a bit of sitting bit of different planes, because REST, REST is a standard. JSON API is kind of implementation of the standard. The GraphQL is I don't even know how to say, but they kind of a bit different. But in that sense, they are like alternatives, and each of them has like its own, say, quirks. So REST is quite configurable. REST is just a specification, and it gives more options, but it leaves too much space. So it's not widely used in decoupled architectures. So choices are either JSON IP or GraphQL, and it's fine in theory because both respect like the structure of the content and allow for easy retrieval, easy and deep retrieval of the content of fields and relations. But still, it's not fully like there is some. So they reflect the structure of Drupal content, but not the structure of Drupal say pages. So we have like access to nodes, relations, whatever, and it comes in a bit different shape than it should be used on the front end. And GraphQL, for example, does not doesn't respect HTTP methods, so it's kind of bold. So it's good for like it's a sleek tool for reading data, but if you need something like more complex, writing data and which does not really correspond to Drupal structure, it would be hard. JSON API, on the other hand, it's a bit more cumbersome, like syntax, but it's more, say, reliable in this sense. So there is a number of Drupal starter kits. Most popular is Next.js Drupal, but again, they are sort of they're not bringing anything. They're not bringing anything that would really overperform monolith Drupal. So Next.js is the most popular and flexible. So it supports GraphQL or JSON API backend, but it is kind of opinionated framework, and it has basically it relies on Next.js library. So instead of learning Twig, it kind of straightens the development. But okay, instead of learning Twig, now we, front-enders, will need to learn to use this library. Uh, Octahedroid implementation, it uses its GraphQL compose module, which is again sleek and really kind of easy to work with until while it complies to Drupal structure. So all these implementations, they rely on the structure, like on the standard structure. You have nodes, you have fields, you have meta tags, and you have front end which displays nodes with its fields and its meta tags. But once you need to deviate from this standard representation, well, you will need to scratch your head and implement a lot. And it's I'm not sure how many decoupled say projects use those toolkits. Well, Drupal Next is kind of widely used. There's thousands of installations, but I've seen a lot of well, I haven't seen a lot, but what I've seen were custom implementations. What is still missing, from what could be solved with decoupled architectures, but is not solved. So first, Drupal kind of is not really good with visual experience. The most say widely used approach are paragraphs, but many people use paragraphs, but no one likes them because I think it's kind of architecturally a bit of a miss, because their main purpose is to is representation. It's a representational layer, but it is they are kind of structured. They are kept in the structure, in the document structure, which is like a mismatch, and it makes things overly complex. So the same thing, the component development. To me, it's I haven't seen this implemented in headless architectures. Instead, monolithic Drupal has the integration of storybook and has single directory components, and it has there is a port of Gutenberg to Drupal, which is I enjoy using it. It's very good and extensible Visivic editor experience. And I think Canvas is, I haven't used it, but to my understanding, it's a step to using React components or whatever, reactive components on the front end, in the sense of progressive decoupling. Okay, so what else can be done to use, say, reactive components within traditional monolithic architecture? There is HTMX, jQuery, don't use jQuery. Modern JavaScript is kind of not like it was 20 years back. So some basic reactive functionality can be implemented with Vanilla.js. It has listeners which can react to change of any changes in HTML containers. So based on this, it's possible to create some basic managed components, which is basically foundation of React. I haven't used it myself, but the direction I will look into, like using web components, which allow to like pack everything basically in custom HTML tags. Still, in my opinion, is like standard Drupal like content-heavy website is not like a use case for fully decoupled architecture, because it brings nothing. But what could be the use cases? One valid option is like when you have like fancy forms, say, when you need to implement some complicated, say, data collection workflow. Drupal is not like form API is, well, the biggest headache in Drupal. But again, it's a question of how those forms correspond to Drupal structure. If they don't correspond to updating, say, entities, some forms like need to make more complex actions. You cannot go with the standard JSON. Whatever you will need, you better create custom controller. Really, there could be some use cases for, say, content-heavy, like standard Drupal website, which would need like really reactive front-end experience. But I haven't seen any. Like what I can think about is like some, for example, like mapping stuff where you need to display whatever, like this geographically bound content, maybe like something else. When another valid use case when you need to stream data from Drupal backend to, say, many frontends, but still the basic one should be like a classical monolith. But if you have like a native like mobile application or whatever, like API which uses part of this data in some other way. This is the use case, but it's not like it's not fully decoupled again. One use case is when but it's absolutely fictitious when you need to represent data in some totally different way that they are stored. Some legacy content, huge legacy content, which you need to, for which you need to rebuild front-end totally. But again, it's not the use case for standard static. It's because like you will need to restructure that and maybe say migrating data would be like a better solution. And personally myself, even if this in the case of many frontends, I would think about building separate, say service which would communicate with Drupal as a service, so we can implement some like event listener architecture, whatever. So there are always choices. So, and if you really want to build something decoupled, there are many other options. I mean, it's kind of impolite to say that Drupal is not the only thing in the world, Drupal event. But there are solutions which kind of correspond to this limited Drupal backend, which we would in fact have in the decoupled architecture. That's it. So, yeah. Thank you for your attention and for